All right, guys. Hey, listen, trying something new this week. Watched a lot of wrestling. Watched a lot of wrestling this weekend. Was talking to a couple friends. Hey, how about a little wrap up, a weekly wrap up? I don't know. We're going to try it once. So let's see if we can get college wrestling covered in 3 minutes or so. Okay, big weekend out, Virginia duels, a lot of wrestling, kind of flew under the radar, in terms of not being on TV and stuff compared to some of those matches. Ryder coming up big weekend for Ryder. The rest of the bracket, I don't know what to make of. This team beat that team, but then that team beat that team. Matchups is big in college wrestling, as you know, and showing up for that particular duel. Ryder, though, is a good team. Been saying it to people all year. I know their signature win. They started out this year, beat Minnesota, went into a Big Ten school on the road, beat a school like Minnesota. And I was looking at the scores, and like, hey, Ryder has some good guys, man, and a couple swing matches in there. So big weekend for them in the long traditional long time going tournament, Virginia duels. Okay, Ohio State, big weekend for Ohio State. Supposedly Ohio State is maybe down a little bit this year from what they have been, but big crowd at the Covelli Center. Saw some of that match, got to see some of that match. Packed crowd there. Hey, if you want to know how to do wrestling right, guys, look at what they do in the Covelli Center. There's other places like that. Obviously, you look at Minnesota, you look at Iowa State or Iowa. You got to make things an event. I think Iowa State's doing that actually too. Penn State, obviously. Fresno's been trying to do a good job with that. So make it an atmosphere, make it an event. It adds a lot for the casual person and the diehards, all of us. Ohio State with a big weekend. Started on Tuesday, I think. Good win against Arizona State. The matches in that one, I think it went pretty as I expected. Probably Caleb Romero with a good win against Anthony Valencia there. Cordell Norfleet, even in a defeat, 11-9 with, my favorite to win 197, Colin Moore, one of the best 97-pounders of the last, 3 or 4 years, really, consistently. So ASU drops that by 1, I believe, to Ohio State. They would come back, have a pretty good weekend at home, did the duels in the Diamond or something like that, again, trying to do an event, had a win over Iowa State and Campbell. Campbell win over Iowa State. Coach Colat doing really a remarkable job out there in Buies Creek, North Carolina with Campbell. Iowa State had a big win early in the week, looked really good. Saw the scores in that. Saw a tiny bit of the match actually after practice one night on Flow. Utah Valley, 45-0 on the road. A lot of dominance, a lot of bonus point wins. And, then they came back and they lost a couple out there in Tempe. Now, that being said, they were out without Jared Deegan, couple close matches. Thing in that to look for is, Sammy Colbray down at 74, which, he's probably cutting some weight. He was probably wrestling up, really, when he wrestled 97. And little known fact, maybe for some, actually, started his career at heavyweight. Actually wrestled a dual meet, I think, at heavyweight his first year. But been primarily a 97-pounder. Went down to 84 last year, and now is at 74. Don't know if he's going to stay there. No inside info. But, I think, he had a couple wins this week. I think went undefeated at his new weight class, his 4th weight class in college wrestling. Penn State, 22-16 over Illinois. Didn't have a full crew there. Not sure what's going on with Berge. Again, right now the team, for sure, Iowa, lots of bonus point victories. 2 shutout wins over Indiana and Purdue. Notable matches in that Purdue match were, Warner pulling out that one against Christian Brucky. Obviously, big news on that. Abe Acid or Assad, not sure which one it is. Sorry for that. Out of redshirt at 84. Looks like Hawks are going all in on bringing the trophy back to Iowa City this year. Ohio State, I mean, this is like, hey, do you ever get a week off in the Big Ten? Well, every once in a while, but not that often. 22-13 over Rutgers just a couple days after, wrestling that duel at home against ASU. They got a league match against Rutgers. Pretty much according how I would think. Big win on that one was probably two young guys, really good guys. Sammy Alvarez over Decatur at 33. Decatur, I believe, came out a red shirt and went at 33, which early in the season, I thought he was probably a 41-pounder. So shows what I know. Minnesota over Wisconsin there. You got Moran, McKee. McKee leads it midway through. Tristan Moran looking to, become an All-American there for the Badgers. Turns the tables midway through that match. Another one, big one for me, and this one was Owen Webster, who keeps seeming to come on. Knocks off Johnny Sebastian. And then Hunter Ritter making his debut at 97 for the Gophs as far as dual meet debut, as far as I know. Wrestled at the Midlands, I believe, but getting a win against his former team there, team there, sorry. And then, Gable Stevenson wins as I would expected, but just got to mention it over Hilger. Okay, another strong All-American candidate, heavyweight. So that was probably one of the featured matches there. But Wrestler of the Week for me probably has to go with Lucas Davison from Northwestern. Unranked, most of the polls that I'm aware of. Knocks off Brookie from Purdue. 4-2 sudden victory. Follows it up with a win over Shakir Rashid, Penn State. Yes, first weekend in the lineup for Penn State and at 97, but still, solid win. 2 big wins for that kid on the weekend for Northwestern. Other big matches this weekend. I looked at, head-to-head. Wick, Isaiah White. So Wisconsin comes back after that loss to Minnesota. They come back and beat a good Nebraska team on the second part of their weekend. Wick over White. Moran over Red. Second big win on the weekend for Tristan Moran. And Wisconsin's out and running and really needed every point they could get because Nebraska came on like gangbusters in the second part of that duel. Wyoming, big win against North Dakota State up there in the tundra, and then drop a close one to South Dakota State, which, if you're paying attention, South Dakota State's coming on. Yes, Damian Hahn can coach. Spent some time with him at Minnesota. 17-16, I believe, South Dakota State over Wyoming, which a big one in that one was Carlson over Samuelson at 84, 3-2. And big weekend for South Dakota State. They knock off UNI, which caught me by surprise a little bit. Maybe nobody else. Maybe they've been paying attention more than I have. But, UNI's been wrestling well. And Polmeyer with a win over, Max Thompson at 49 was one in there for me. Thompson's a tough guy. So Polmeyer is really wrestling well. Another big match this weekend was Bridges over Sikora. Montori Bridges, former All-American for the Cowboys, over Sikora, one of the best top wrestlers in the weight class, if not the country. So contrast of styles there for me. Bridges, dynamic on his feet. Sikora, I've seen him rack up 13, 15 points in a heartbeat. Maybe one or two guys better than him in that position in the country or comparable. One of them's wrestling in the lightweight class at Iowa City. You may have heard of him. He has a couple NCAA titles to his name. That's Spencer Lee. So anyway, I said 3-4 minutes. It went about 9. This week, first ever time. Okay, let me know what you think. Brought to you by Resolite. Hey, I know a guy that can help you with Resolite mats, wall pads, equipment if you're in the Northwest. And by Roberts Wrestling Camps. Look for more information on that. First go. Let me know what you think. Sorry if I stumbled. Won't happen again.